Hello all far and wide, and welcome back to another episode of Outcome It's Not Black and White. My name is Matt Schiff and I'm your host for today and every day thereafter. Lucky you. Where my role is to bridge the gap between teasing out the mindsets, principles, tools and stories that high-performing individuals have used to shape their current reality and deliver that to you through your ears. I hope that you enjoy. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Outcome Podcast, episode number 3. In today's episode, I am joined in conversation with Simone and Simon Francis out of Cape Town, who are co-owners of Movero bamboo clothing. Movero was essentially born out of a passion for movement. However, what separates them from the rest? Well, they have a slight addiction and love affair for that of bamboo. I absolutely adored this conversation as it not only reminded me of the trials and tribulations which I have personally experienced over the last 4 months with my girlfriend trying to make a life work abroad, but essentially this conversation not only touches on how the two of them being co-owners of a once startup into a successful garment store, whilst making sure the romance of their relationship stays alive as their wedding date draws closer. This conversation is truly inspiring as it's clear to see how a passion for something is able to drive someone a little bit closer to their why. With excitement finding true north coming through in the conversation, there are literal chills that I had throughout the episode as we're touching on things like managing life and work play, going to manufacturers and not really knowing where to begin, but also managing a business that has been able to grow to the magnitude that it has today. I hope that you enjoy. Okay, good morning, Simon and Simone. Welcome back to the Outcome Podcast show. How are the two of you?
We're very well, Matt. Thank you very much. Good to be here again.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
It's good to see you both. I see that you're obviously back in Cape Town and kicking it out there. How's it going, being back home?
It's great. It's really nice. We just had a conversation around this just now, but it's really cool to be back here in South Africa, to see everyone again and just sort of get into the swing of things over here and also get stuck into our business.
Yeah, that's no doubt. I mean, just for those that are tuning in, I was with Si and Simone a little over a month ago now. We actually rendezvoused in Barcelona where they were very generous to host my girlfriend and I for a couple of days. And it was fantastic to see the two of you spend some time, obviously see how Movero was going, but also how the two of you have since left Cape Town, sort of immersed yourself in the new culture and being in Spain, but also the joys of starting a business and starting your new life. Is there any potential for us to see each other in Spain sometime soon again? Have you guys got plans to head back?
We do. So Simon has family in Spain at the moment. His mom is there, and so we spent about 6 months this year in Spain, and of course the other 6 months in South Africa. So we're very much between countries. Right. At the moment. You know, Spain is fantastic in that it's very similar to Cape Town in a lot of ways, with the Mediterranean climate and the culture. And so that's our plan really, is traveling back and forth between countries, between families, and
sure.
Yes, lighting a fire under Movero wherever we are.
I'd like to take a step back and really chat about your own journey into the period of your lives that you are in now. So if we take a step back, maybe two years or so, Simone, as far as I know, you were working 9 to 5 with a digital marketing in a digital. No, incorrect. Sorry. Can you please perhaps take us back?
And it wasn't
to
9
where
to
you
5
were
either. That would have been a pleasure.
That would have been the pleasure. Okay, so let me just pause myself then. Simone, if you could please let us know where you were a couple of years ago.
Sure. So a couple of years ago, I studied marketing. That's what I have my qualification in. And I joined a liquor spirits company in South Africa, one of the leading ones, and they were absolutely fantastic. I did my internship with them, and that was about maybe 6 years ago, and subsequently joined the team as a brand manager. so that was where I spent about 4.5 years and met Simon, actually.
And the can you talk us through, because I know we were chatting about this in Barcelona as well, but that aha slow motion moment where you met Simon.
I think, I think Simon is actually the best person to tell you this story, because we've got I think it's a slightly different version to each other. So I think maybe you can.
Please, I would love to hear how your version of this take.
Yeah, so the context that perhaps gives it a bit of a meaning is I'm a graphic designer, and I left my previous company about 9 years ago to start my own business and called Draw 4, and I've been working with some amazing clients for the past 8 or 9 years, and my biggest client by far is a liquor company here in South Africa, and that's the company that Simone worked for. So I've been working for them for a number of years, and obviously they have a big team of people in the marketing department, and I've been working with certain people. But the one day, after many, many years, I was called into a meeting with the chairman and a couple of other people, and they was working on a new local brand who Simone happened to be the brand manager for. And so I'd never really met her. I'd seen her, but I'd never met her. And we were in this meeting, and it's a bit of a boys' club. The chairman was there, and some of the old men, and it was this sort of thing going on. And then in walked this beautiful young girl, and she sat down, and I was mesmerized by this lady that walked into this boardroom, and then proceeded to just take control of the space. She spoke beautifully. I mean, I always said Simone has got a voice for radio. She's got a face for television, but a voice for radio. But anyway, and I was so mesmerized by this lady that I had no idea what the meeting was about at all. I mean, I left there more clueless than when I arrived, and proceeded to sort of take her out on a date, and the rest is history. We're now engaged. So that's the long and short of it.
And they say love is dead. I saw that there was a post the other day where, Simone, you mentioned you guys are due to get married in just under a year now, I think.
Just under a year, yes. We've been engaged for 2 years, and we've finally set a date to tie the knot.
Brilliant. Oh, that's so exciting. I could not be happy for the two of you. That's so exciting. Where is the wedding, if you don't mind me asking?
It will be in Barcelona.
In Barcelona?
Yeah.
You're going to have to share
a lovely venue in the mountains. So just, I think, about 20 minutes from the Barcelona city. And it's really beautiful, and it's perfect for us. We'll host a couple of guests. A lot of our friends and family from around the world will be traveling to see that happen.
Yeah, and obviously if we don't see you before then, Matt, then we hope to see you in Camp Nat.
That is. Oh, thank you. That is something that is just got my heart fluttering a bit. That's really exciting, guys. And I really could not be happier. It sounds so romantic. And I'm sure that, maybe this is a good starting point, because the two of you getting married in just under a year in Barcelona, there's so much that has happened prior to the wedding, and that is going to happen. But obviously the two of you had started a business, Movero, for those that have not heard of the brand just yet. And we'll touch on Movero in just a bit. But perhaps a great starting point is to chat about how the two of you have managed being business partners as well as in a relationship together over the last, 3 years or so? What has your experience been between, or maybe I should rephrase this, how have you managed to keep work and play separate, if you have at all been able to do so?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think it will differ, across couples and business relationships. But Simon and I, as we've said, we worked together at my previous company, so we had a year of that. So working on common projects, and I just absolutely loved every minute of working with Simon. He is an incredibly talented, one of the best graphic designers that I've come across, and so we feel each other's excitement, and we have a really good understanding when working together. When something doesn't work, we say it. and we build from there. So we always had a way, I think, of building rather than breaking down, in a working relationship, but also in a private relationship as well. And so when I left my previous job to start Movero, and Simon is very much in running his graphic design business as well, that relationship just built, really, because we now had a common project, a common passion and brand that we were working on together that was ours. So it felt like a natural progression, I think, and we somehow do manage to separate our business to play. It does often skew, like it goes out of balance, and we need to kind of correct ourselves and pull it back in. But it's not easy.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sorry to interject there. I think the reality is, and you know, we can't sort of pretend it's anything other than this. Our reality is that with this business, Movero, we live and breathe it 24 hours a day. And so every time that we're together, we talk about Movero, we talk about the business, we think about it. It's ever present. And you know, that doesn't mean that we don't have downtime. We obviously we do, and it's really important for our mental and physical sanity to try and take a break and sort of you know relax and do something different. But the truth of the matter is, we're having dinner somewhere, or we're on a date, or wherever we are, we're sitting in the movies. We always come back to, hey, you know what I was just thinking about, and it always comes back to Movero. So I think that's the reality of an entrepreneur. I think you're always on, so to speak.
No doubt. I have been traveling for the last 4.5 months, and I'm not saying we can really compare the two experiences, but the last 4 months or so with my girlfriend, and just our experience in being in Europe and trying to figure out where to next, how do we do this, how do we afford that, has been a challenge in and of itself. And we're not even running a business right now. She is by far my biggest supporter and is a very large reason as to how outcome has come to be. And, you know, I suppose you can in some way frame it as our own little mini business or passion project that I've roped her into my passion project. But we've had our struggles as well, and we're trying to figure out our niche in terms of how do you switch off, how do you stay on, how do you keep the romance and flame alive. And I guess where I'm going with this is, like, I can completely resonate to some degree, at least, the kind of experience that the two of you have come about. With Movero sort of keeping the passion alive, has it always been something? I remember, Simon, you were explaining a story at some stage about your favorite shirt being a bamboo shirt. Can you maybe just introduce how Movero then came into your lives?
Yeah, it's exactly that. We were. It's actually it's quite a big story, but it really comes down to the fact that I did have this T-shirt, which I'd been given many years before. It's actually a brand from the UK, and it was made of bamboo, or part bamboo, part cotton. And at that point, we had no idea about the textile industry and what textiles were made from, and how they were used for different sort of applications and so on. But all I knew is that I had this T-shirt, which was my favorite T-shirt, and I had to think about why it was my favorite T-shirt, and it really came down to the feel and the fit and the way it sat on your body and so on, and it was sort of quite beaten and old and worn by this stage, about 15 years old, and we just thought, we looked into the idea of bamboo, like what exactly is it, and why would you use bamboo as opposed to cotton or something else, and that really. We kind of put two and two together, because for both of us, our greatest passion in life has always been movement and being active. And so since we were children, we've both been very, very active people. Simone in dance, and she'll talk about that and various things, and myself in all manner of sports, from trail running to mountain bike racing and all kinds of things. So, and that's been really the central pillar of both of our lives for as long as we can remember. So we thought, well, why don't we try and combine our passions and do something in the world of movement? And what about if we looked at doing bamboo for activewear? And the more we started to sort of unpack that idea, the brighter this sort of flame started to burn, and it was just became this irresistible thing, which made so much sense to the two of us.
That's really, really exciting. And I have obviously had some sort of experience with Movero as well. I've seen, just by the way, that your website is up and line. For those that haven't yet seen Moverowear.com, excuse me, and it is phenomenal. It looks absolutely beautiful.
We've got some great models.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know where you were able to find a few of them.
Around the world somewhere.
I know that Dave Rosenberg is a sucker for a good camera, so I'm sure it was quite easy to get him involved. But I mean, that reminds me of the story that we were obviously out in Newlands Forest just a couple of months ago, taking a few photos for the website, and to see it come to life is something that I am exceptionally proud and honored to be a part of. And it has very quickly become my favorite piece of garment to wear when training, activewear. When traveling, carrying a 23-kilo bag, FYI, don't do that on a European trip. If it's not a backpack, don't take a 23-kilo bag. And also just lifestyle. I'm currently wearing your plain black tee at the moment, and it's super comfortable. It has far become my favorite garment to wear and travel. And it's so cool to hear the humble beginnings in which it started, the movement and your involvement with the sports in your lives. Simone, can you touch a little bit more on your dance background, perhaps, and how it played to you?
Sure. I danced before I even went to school. I was 4 years old and I went to my first ballet class and just fell in love with it. Everything, the pink stockings, the outfits, the fairy wings, everything at 4 years old. And I also loved the fact that I could just like run around without being told to sit down. So I got into it very young and continued doing ballet for about 14 years, so until I matriculated. So that was my entire school career, and performed, competed, graded, and did that for a very long time. Just loved it. Then after school, I studied marketing, as I mentioned before, and stopped dancing for about 3 years, I think. And that was a very interesting time to start understanding about what was going on for me at that time, because I've been doing dancing. And ballet wasn't the only thing. I did ballroom and Latin dancing. I tried hip-hop dancing. I did anything that I could move to, I did. Except for contemporary dancing, because I didn't know much about it at the time. And so studied and was just it was like a limb of my body was missing, and so decided to get back into dance. That's when I discovered contemporary, and at that stage I was very keen to leave off the stockings, put shorts on, dance bare feet, and that's what contemporary offered. So I did that, I think, from the age of 21, and still doing it now, so for 7 years.
Wow,
I just absolutely love it. It's such a movement, is such an incredible outlet for anything that's going on in life. And we talk about it quite often, in that we've accumulated a lifetime of bruises and bumps and muscle memory, successes, failures, all the rest of it. But more so, we have such interesting and amazing stories that have come out of our lifetime of movement, and also very good lifelong friendships. So there's something not just about moving your body, but the whole experience of that. And I think that's where Movero was inspired by, is just to celebrate everything that goes along with movement from burning from the inside out, real movement and connection. And so that's really where I think Movero comes from. And so when you do visit the website, if you do see our social media, if you do see our designs and collateral and engage us, it feels like an extension of us and our passion and love for movement.
Personally, I have felt that, and I've seen it through our conversations. I can feel the energy that when we spent that time in Newlands Forest and out in Cape Crossford's trim, taking a few of the photos, it was so apparent. And for those that own the garments, I'm sure it can testify to the fact that they can feel it on their bodies too. And I think that's a perfect introduction, actually, to you obviously given a bit more of a perspective into how Movero came about, but I'm really interested to hear. Si, you were involved with your business for, well, you said 9 years ago now, and the last 4.5 years you were last involved with yours. How did you to have that discussion moving from your, I suppose, conventional quote unquote job into like a startup in an industry where you're testing bamboo as a clothing item? What was that like, that conversation or the mindset around that move?
Do you mean taking the plunge from moving from our regular jobs into doing Movero or into
Yes.
bamboo?
That's exactly what I mean. Thank you for putting that just in simple
Sorry.
terms.
Yeah,
That's
no,
exactly what I
just
mean.
wanted to clarify there. Well, just to be clear, I still very much my main focus is my graphic design business, Draw4. It's really the I'm very lucky to be able to be involved in my own business that enables me the flexibility of time and also pays a pretty good income that can sort of support us as we start this venture, because every cent that we make, we sink into this ever growing business. And the end of last year, Simone quit her job full time and went into working on Movero full time. And the amount of work that it takes, people don't really understand what it takes to grow and run this thing. And Simone does that full time, and she does an incredible job at it. So for her, it's been a bit of a change of scenery. But for us going into it, there's many reasons why we did it, and obviously the passion for movement and this beautiful idea of bringing bamboo into the world and using it in the way that we are. That's a huge driving force. But also there was the sort of every sort of 5 years or however long, it's good to sort of take a bit of a time out and try and look back at your life and look at the trajectory that you've followed up into this point, and maybe try and sort of project forward another 5, 10, 15 years and sort of see where it's likely, if you keep going with this, where you're going to end up, and sort of say, am I happy with that? Am I content? Is this where I want to be? Is that where I want to be headed? And if not, you've got to make some sort of hard decisions. And that was very much on our minds from where do we want to be in 20 years' time? Where do we want to be around retirement age? And what do we want to have done with our lives? What do we want to have brought into this world? And for us, it's very much about doing things that are meaningful, that we believe in, and really putting something out into the world that's a force for good. And I think that was a big sort of driver for us with regards to starting this business.
That's awesome to hear. And in this process of that decision, or just beginning that process, did you have any mentors or resources that you often refer to in terms of starting a business or using bamboo as clothing? Did you have someone to help guide you along the way?
Not really. Not in terms of the technical side of things. I mean, this has been an exponential learning curve. Like, obviously, we don't come from the fashion or textile industry at all. So making garments, we had no idea. And we've really learned. We've dived in the deep end and just asked as many questions as we could and researched as many things. And we've got a little bit of advice here and there from various people. People said a friend of mine's in the clothing industry, and he's been doing it his entire life. And he said, "You're crazy. You should never do this because the industry in South Africa is dead, and you're never going to make any money." And so we've had all kinds of advice. But yeah, I think, do you want to add to that?
It's interesting because, hindsight is everything. We kind of thinking about it now. But at the beginning, I think the way that we very much approached it was, as Simon said, was dive in. Let's try and absorb as much as we can, speak to as many people. So we didn't really have one or two mentors, I say, but we really spoke to anybody that could offer us some kind of guidance or advice in the industry. And I think not being from the textile industry in somewhat has actually worked in our favor. we came in fresh, excited, energized, researching all different kinds of things and with different like global references. So our mind and what we wanted to create was bigger, was the best, and we tackled it that way. Is that we wanted to create something that we just loved, and we knew as if we handed over to somebody else, they would love it, and that was kind of like our benchmark. And so we went to the people in the industry, pattern makers, garment developers, producers, all those kinds of manufacturers, and we really pushed. We pushed to get certain things done, to sort of meet what we had in mind, and that in itself was a very interesting and difficult process. It took about a year, I think, for us to find the team that we're so happy with.
Wow.
Because in that time, we switched from three. I think we went through 3 different manufacturers because they were fantastic, but they just couldn't offer us the time, resource, the quality, the capability. They would try and find others, cut corners to kind of achieve a similar finish, and that we just weren't happy with. So it worked in our favor that we came fresh, energized, and so we found a team that could absolutely produce what we want, and we just love working with them. I think they enjoy working with us. I hope. And so got here by feeling our way through it, I guess, and whichever path felt exciting and felt right intuitively, that's kind of where we headed.
I love that. Really, I do. And I know that again, just to reiterate, because it's just so apparent to me, and I guess my friends that I know that have owned the garments, my family members, my girlfriend who's currently wearing the shirt as well, that they just absolutely love the quality that you've put out and what the brand stands for. Even if the knowledge behind your backroads that got there is limited to us as now the listeners, the fact that there is such a love put into what you put out, it comes through in the feel, in the look, in the website. You can all see it. My next question, if I may, be it brief, why bamboo?
Matt, that's a big question. I mean, it's. I'll tell you in a nutshell, really, really quickly. The interesting thing about textiles, and this is what we've learned, is that there's only 2 kinds of textiles in the entire world. There's synthetic textiles and there's natural textiles. And synthetic fabrics or textiles and threads are made from chemicals, short and sweet. So we're talking about nylon, polyester, those kinds of things. And they contribute around 60% of all the textiles that exist in the world. It's the vast majority. And the problem with them, I mean, they're great for many things, but the main problem with synthetic textiles is that they're created by the oil industry. So they take plastic and they melt it down and they force it through like very, very fine holes, like a sieve with fine holes, to form long filaments, which are then weave into fabrics. So your polyester garments and so on, and nylon and everything, they're great for certain things. They don't absorb moisture, as plastic doesn't absorb moisture, so it keeps you dry. And it's got really, really great uses. But one of the main problems with that is that it's the world's most polluting industry, the oil industry. And of course, not only does the industry that creates it create a lot of pollution, but the garments themselves are not biodegradable. They just break down into smaller and smaller pieces, and they end up in the oceans, and they pollute the land, and they sit in landfills, and they release harmful gases, etc., etc. So then on the other side, you say, well, we've got natural fabrics.
Sorry, just on that too. That's definitely from a sustainability side. We played a big role as to why we went with bamboo natural fabrics, which Simon will touch on now. But also from the polyester and the garments that are made from these fibers fall short in terms of performance. I mean, most of activewear, the lycra stuff, most of that is made from polyester. And the problem with that, or one of the biggest problems, I don't know if you've worn a polyester garment, thrown it in the wash, it comes out and it's still smelly.
Yeah,
don't know if
I
that's
definitely
happened.
have.
It's not you. It's not you.
Newsflash, it's not you that smells, it's the shirt.
It's the shirt. Polyester, there's actually been a couple of studies done that show that polyester breeds bacteria. That's what happens. It breeds the bacteria, which fuses with the sweat and keeps the garments smelly. So it's not great when you're in performance and movement, for your garment to retain that kind of odors and bacteria.
Yeah, and so bamboo has many performance benefits, and we approached this really from before we understood the true impact on the environment. We were looking at the performance aspects of various fabrics, and that's why we chose bamboo initially. Now, the first thing you notice about it is it just feels amazing. It has this really beautiful drape and feel, and it's light, and it's so. And it's 100% natural. That's the main thing. So we started with that, and then all the performance benefits of bamboo very, very quickly. It regulates your body temperature. It doesn't get cold and clammy when you sweat in it. It doesn't smell, which is great, and numerous other things.
No, you're talking about natural fabrics. So
yeah. Sorry. So
I think most people experience of natural fabrics would be cotton, and that makes up a large portion of textiles in the world.
Yeah, we looked at various natural fabrics, and bamboo just came out tops. Cotton is great, but the problem with cotton is when it gets wet, when you sweat in it, when you train in it, that it gets kind of quite abrasive and clammy and cold. And so people tend to mix cotton with polyester for performance garments. And we didn't want to do that. We wanted to stay well clear of the plastic side of things. So all in all, we've ended up with bamboo as it's the world's most sustainable plant. It regenerates by itself. It doesn't use a lot of water. It doesn't use any water to grow. It grows naturally from rainfall and has all these beautiful ecological benefits. But at the end of the day, it produces a fabric that just is really unsurpassed in terms of its performance for activewear and base layers and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, it's so cool to hear. And in fact, obviously, I've been involved with the brand to some degree and tried a few of the garments on. I've had a chat to a few of the ladies that are wearing the female garments, and they're utterly in love with it. It goes without saying. But to know that there is that keen focus around sustainable impact and just a general thought that is going into what people are putting onto their body, it goes, I think, a real long way, and just makes the experience in wearing your garments that much nicer. Just plainly put, just that much more comforting to know.
I just wanted to reiterate. I think where we've got to on that point is that we've really come to an understanding that we have to redefine what we understand by high performance as it relates to our garments. In the past, we've all worn the kinds of garments and textiles that we're all familiar with, and no need to sort of name names, but you know what I'm talking about. And that's really formed our sense of what we understand as high performance. But the reality is that I think smart athletes these days are training in different ways that are really pushing themselves to new levels in their training. Is getting very scientific, and they're demanding more technical performance from their garments than ever. But at the same time, we're facing an absolute crisis, a global crisis in the textile industry with the pollution that it's causing. And so really what people are needing to do now is to place that sort of sustainability in their buying decisions right at the core of what they understand by performance. You can't have a performance garment that isn't sustainable. It's like, we were talking about it last night. It's almost like, taking steroids when you train. It's like you see some very short-term benefit, but in the long term, there could be potential disastrous outcomes. So really for us, the new way to look at performance garments is that they have to have sustainability as one of the key pillars of their characteristic.
Without a doubt. And I mean, perhaps, you guys have obviously been a lot more involved in this than what I have, so excuse the sort of framing of this question, but how do we as the buyers or the consumers really make that decision, or how do we you obviously have Movero as an option, and there are a few other brands where you can buy other socks or men's like underwear, women's underwear, but like how do we look out for it? Is it simply typing bamboo clothing online? Is it a decision that we can make? I don't know if that makes sense.
Being one of the first movers in terms of creating bamboo activewear, certainly in this country, comes with its own set of challenges. Now, we obviously know what the benefits of it and how incredible the fabric is, as we've touched on, and everybody that comes in contact with it as well. We don't need to do a very big job at convincing people once they sort of get introduced to the brand, and we find that they once they do get a garment, they come back for more. So that feels good for us. But one of the biggest jobs for us and any sort of first movers, I think, in different industries, is to do an education job and an awareness job, and that comes with time or lots of money, and so that's sort of where we're at right now, is trying to educate people a little bit more as to why they should be choosing bamboo. Now, as Simon said, we kind of we're very much speaking to this smart athlete, as we like to call it, that are more conscientious. They are more aware, and their movement burns from this inside out, like I was talking about early on. So the entire experience of movement needs to feel good, and so that speaks to a certain group of people, and which any brand does. You can't be everything to everyone, I think. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it
does.
It's kind of an education job, and as we go along, it's a slower build, I think, than just introducing another fast fashion, trendy brand that is here today and gone tomorrow kind of thing.
I think you answered that brilliantly from a poorly framed question. So thank you, Simone, for saving my butt on that one. I appreciate you doing that. Guys, just to slowly transition then, like there's a lot has happened in the last, again, 2 or so years, and you guys are back home in Cape Town at the moment doing some really cool work. I've noticed a lot more movement, excuse the pun, and online with your new partnership with City Rock. I see you've transitioned into an outdoor climbing space as well. Are there any new prospects that are on the horizon that we as the listeners can look out for in terms of partnerships, or can we see your garments popping up in shops somewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. We're actually in the process of collaborating with some specialist stores that really understand what it is we're doing and appreciate it and want to support local. So there will be hopefully a range of carefully selected stockists on our website soon. So that's very cool. And we're also busy with a lot of new product development as well. So a range of new garments, new styles, very exciting things coming out. We're designing things from scratch. So it's got some very cool shorts on the way and various other bits and pieces. So a lot of movement happening at the moment.
Sure. As you both know, I guess with the outcome now, it's I love to tap into things that really have made you tick, or that the listeners could apply tangibly to their lives based on your experiences in starting Movero, in managing work and play as a couple. Has there been any particular favorite failures which the two of you have experienced in this journey that you often refer back to and either apply now? We learned the lesson of doing this last time, therefore we should not do it this time. Is there anything that screams to mind on any front, really, within business?
Yeah, go ahead. We were talking about this morning.
I think, Matt, because we're still quite early on in our journey. Movero is very much a startup, and it's kind of been around for about 2 years now. As I said, the first year was the development of the range. So in terms of big failures, I don't think that we actually have any of those as yet. I hope that we don't. But I think there has been a lot of a lot of learning, a lot of experiences and lessons that have been learned where we quickly see something happen and we're like, let's not do that. Let's keep that in mind for next time. And we've tried to remain quite flexible in responding to those kind of things. So if we feel something is not right, or if we've certainly done things that we shouldn't have, but it all forms part of the learning experience to kind of get us to have gotten us to this point. And I think one of the things that have really kept us going is, and I think to your other part of the question of any advice that we could offer, is really just hanging in there. It's like it's keeping perspective of and trying and remembering why it is that you're doing what you're doing. Keep going. Build from it. Be flexible. Take what you need from people, because there will be people on both sides. Some that are very excited and supportive of what you do, and then others that maybe aren't. And it's taking out what you need from both parties, I guess, and really help to develop and shape and build what it is that and stay on that path, I think. So I think that's...
Yeah, we haven't had any sort of catastrophic failures, thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Nothing has kind of threatened the fabric of our existence. But we've had a lot of things, and I think like Simone said, it's how you frame what is a failure, and I think that we do that really well. We tend to sort of not make mountains out of molehills. So when things don't go right, we almost see it as a bit of a gift, because it kind of nudges us in a slightly different direction, or it fine tunes our thinking around a certain topic. So, yeah, I think it's really about, like Simone said, just keeping that flame burning inside, and using your setbacks and so on as really useful learning tools.
Sure. This is a topic I'm exceptionally passionate about, and for those that know me or have come to either live with me or see how I sort of operate, I'm a massive fan of visualizing and mood boards and pictures of quotes and inspiration all over the place. And it's something that I sort of refer back to time and time again. What is my why? Or what is it that I'm chasing? Or how is it that I can achieve X goal or Y status, or whatever the case might be? So I guess the next question, which I'm hoping, if there is an answer to, do you two have any tricks or tools that you use to reflect on? As in, Simone, you mentioned now that you see the lesson in something that happened last time, and you don't want to make that same mistake, so you note it. Do you physically write that down in a journal, pen to paper, or do you have a sort of Google Doc sheet out where you say, remember this experience last time, it comes up again, let's not make it? Do you have any of those tools and tricks at all?
I wish that we were that organized to make notes of them, but no, it stays with us. I think it just forms part of how we move forward in our business, I would say, and it almost helps sort of shape our or guide our intuitive sense in a way. So we bank the experiences in our minds, and that sort of really influences how we move forward in that way. Tools and tricks. I think what we do quite often is Simon is a very visual person in his nature and what he does, and so we often need to draw things and mind map and explore scenarios. The one thing too that we've learned when starting up this business is not to, or to try our best not to let tradition and conventional things shape what we're doing. So thinking of not just accepting things for what they are, this is how it needs to be done, and this is the way it needs to happen, but rather trying our best, I think, to use those experiences to guide us what to do. And if it hasn't been done, we're like, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that it shouldn't be. Let's try it. Let's give it a go if it feels intuitively right. And so I think those experiences and those learnings just sort of form part of that.
And there's so much to be said there, I think, as well, right? You mentioned earlier, rightfully so, that you hadn't had the experience. So therefore, coming into the industry and tackling the giants, if you will, you have every right to do it. But it's also you're not. There's no bias prior to what you're about to do or decide upon. And I think it's quite inspirational, really. It's something that is really, really important in any aspect of life, I would imagine. So I know that on your left arm you have a tattoo. I think. What is, if you don't mind, reminding me, what does it say, or what does it mean to you again?
Yeah. On my left arm, on my right arm I've got leaves, but on my left arm I've got a saying that says, "Excitement finds true north."
Excitement
And
finds true north.
yeah, and what that means in essence, without getting too esoteric, is that it's basically if you follow your excitement, it leads you closer to what your true path is in life. If in every moment you choose the things that excite you, it really is, excitement really is, I believe, the truest representational sort of state of who you are. We suppose we're born into this world, and we as kids we're excited about things, and we tend to sort of get it beaten out of us a lot of the time by school and family and so on. But I think it's really important that if you follow your excitement, it almost acts as sort of stepping stones to bring you back onto your path in life, which is a path that should be full of wonder and miracles and excitement and fun and happiness. So that's really kind of a motto we try to live by.
It really is. It really is. It sounds crazy to a lot of our sort of older folk that are
the world doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it's quite used to a different existence, but it is, and I think one of the things it's actually helped to keep us, or to help us stay true to what Movero is and what we want it to be. Because sure, they are, as you said just before this, they are giants in the industry, and we, of course, we do our research and we keep tabs on what's going on to better understand the industry that we're in. But I think what we do is try and just do our own thing. Stay true to what it is that we're doing, and we do believe, and it's been validated along the way, that there is a market for this, that there is a desire for this, for active people who are looking for alternatives, who are now thinking more than ever in 2019, thinking about sustainability and thinking about what they can do in their everyday lives just to make a better impact. And so that's been validated numerous times from consumers who have kind of engaged with us, but also from other people that have been in the textile industry for many, many years, decades, that actually are drawing it to our attention that what we're doing is different, and they believe that it is something that will be sort of accepted and desired, I think.
Completely. I think more so now than ever, especially within South Africa, there's this shift in mentality towards not only finding what you love and enjoy, and that passion, I suppose to some degree could be, coined cliche somewhat, but there is this shift towards really doing the things that just give you the energy. Emotion is energy in motion. One of our most passionate conversations, I remember sitting in Barcelona over a couple of tortillas with the two of you. We were chatting about just, what does excitement mean? What does finding a purpose mean? What does finding your passion mean? Yeah. And I think quite elegantly put, just to sum up, I guess, that conversation was doing the things every day as well that really give you excitement. In the morning, if that's a smoothie bowl and a couple of push-ups, then so be it. But if you look forward to it, it's a healthier perspective, I would like to think. Blood gets flowing and adrenaline's there and your sweaty palms. And to me, when I hear your tattoo, I remember you telling me it last time as well, I think it speaks right to that core, and very obviously so it comes through in the garments that you guys put forward too, which is quite cool to see.
Excitement is infectious, and the one thing that I've learned over so many years of designing is that the designing is there's no right and wrong answer. It's not a black and white thing. 1 and 1 doesn't equal 2 in design. So it's incredibly subjective. So how do you know when you've got something? How do you know when you're on the right track? And so the guiding principle with design is as soon as you throw something around and you're busy working, you get that pang of excitement, a little flutter in your chest, a little something is happening. Then okay, cool. Now I'm onto the right track. And so it's really an intuitive or a very subtle skill that you kind of cultivate over all these years. But it's definitely something that guides us with Movero as well.
Is there an end goal for Movero? As in, do you want it to be like in your local sportsman's warehouse? Is it something that you would, I suppose it's up to interpretation really, but is there an end goal that you guys are hoping Movero either succumbs to or is available to at all?
We do have a vision. We have other brands that we benchmark against, and we kind of sort of see ourselves as one day hoping to be like. One of the, we can mention brand names. I mean, one of the big inspirations for us obviously is Lululemon, what they've done in the States for the industry there, but also smaller brands too, up and coming brands like Bury in the States as well, is doing a similar sort of thing. And there's other examples too, but yeah, we definitely want Movero to be a force for good in South Africa. We believe that this is its home. We want to have a presence here, and we want to do something really good that will make South Africans proud. And so that's what we want to do. But we also want to take it further afield, and we're looking at the States, and obviously we're looking at Europe because that's where we hope to live half the time. So yeah, we've got very big plans for this brand.
That's brilliant. That's very, very exciting. Again, touching on the excitement topic. That's pretty cool. Just to tie it up together, you two, I know that it is your afternoon ahead of you. Is there anything that we have not yet discovered that you would like the listeners to know, either about Movero or the next moves, or even better, maybe to redirect that question, how best can people get in touch with Movero, the two of you, or find out more information about the garments? Where can they do so?
The best place is online. We live in a digital age, and so we're on all those platforms, on social media, Instagram, Facebook, at Movero_bamboo. Online on our website, our contact information is there, so it's as easy as a WhatsApp, a phone call, an email away. Brilliant. So that's how people could get in touch. And as Simon said, we're hoping to upload just a list of stores that actually physically house our range. As you mentioned before, we've got it at City Rock in the indoor rock, or the rock climbing, indoor and outdoor rock climbing space. So that's, I think, the best way for people to get in touch with us.
Yeah, fantastic. And I mentioned it slightly earlier, but just as a reminder to those that are listening, it's moverowear.com. If you want to have a look at the great garments and their mission up online, you'll find all of this online in my show notes as well. So if you want to say hello, please do so on their social media. Simon and Simone, thank you very, very much. My last question to the two of you is, have you got any particular ask from your listeners? Is there anything that you would like them to do? Or is there any particular question that you would like to throw out to any of them?
Well, there's many things, but I mean, I think I'd like to challenge people to maybe just turn their favorite shirt inside out and get that little wash care label and have a look and just see what it says. See what the fabric is that you're actually wearing. And start to just, maybe just spend a minute or so just thinking about what it is you've got on your body, where it comes from, where it goes when you finish with it, when you throw it away. And maybe you just start sort of thinking around those kinds of things, because there are alternatives out there. So yeah, maybe this is a small challenge that people can do right away.
Fantastic.
It's an interesting one, because the bamboo has sort of caught a lot of people's attention, I think, globally and locally as well. And what we've been finding is that there's certainly in the socks and underwear space, and some sleepwear, they call it bamboo, but it's like 50% bamboo and then 50% of something else. So it's very much high blend, with a blend of bamboo with something else that's maybe not as sustainable. And so with the challenge that Simon's put out is a great exercise to do to really understand it. We use 95% bamboo, so the highest possible percentage of bamboo that we possibly can, or sustainable fabrics we do.
Yeah,
that's it will awesome. Be an interesting one. And of course, reach out to us. We would love people to get involved and try it out. If they buy a garment, if they don't, return it. If they don't enjoy it, which I don't think will happen, they can return it. But get bamboo into your hands. Feel what it's like. Wear it. Move around in it. It honestly is the most incredible fabric to be moving and let us know. Get in touch with us. We of course love to hear from other people and what their experiences have been like with it.
Sure. Fantastic. I think I will officially or eventually take off my shirt for the first time in 4 days and wash it. But it doesn't smell, so I don't need to. Thank you so much for the two of you for your time. I really appreciate you jumping online with me, and I wish you all the best. Hopefully I'll see you soon out in Europe somewhere, but until then, I hope that Cape Town treats you well, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Matt.
Enjoy your last few days in Greece.
Thank you. I will. Yeah, I will. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Buddy.
Cheers. Bye.
Hey guys, Matt here again. Just before you run off, thank you for lending me your ears and tuning in once again. I hope that you enjoyed the conversation, and of course I would love to hear any sort of feedback you might have. You can do so through all forms of social media, really. I've probably spammed enough about that, or through my email, which is outcomepodcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. I'm an open book and am willing to learn. If you haven't yet subscribed or shared the podcast via the very many links that you could potentially find it on, I encourage you to do so too. Looking forward to hearing from you, and until then, cheers.